Are you struggling to close deals? Cold outreach is wasting the time of both the buyer and seller at every stage, especially when sellers are using shallow and outdated data. Your organization can overcome these challenges with technology that translates comprehensive, high-quality buyer data into real-time insights. These deeper insights empower sales reps and teams to adopt the habits of top performers, which leads to better outcomes, like more pipeline, higher win rates, and larger deals. We call this deep sales. And we've built the first deep sales platform with the next generation of LinkedIn Sales Navigator. Right now, you can try LinkedIn Sales Navigator and get a 60-day free trial at linkedin.com/trial. That's linkedin.com/trial for a 60-day free trial. Let LinkedIn Sales Navigator help you sell like a superstar today. Just go to linkedin.com/trial and get started.
Hey guys, and welcome to Criminality, the podcast we started because we know loving reality TV and all of the crimes and criminals isn't a crime. Well, I don't love the crimes, but I sometimes love the criminals.
Yeah, but the crimes are criminal, right? The loving isn't on our part. Mm-hmm. The crimes are definitely criminal, and the criminals are pretty criminal.
You know what else is criminal, Rebekah?
What?
Your love of West and him ending up being the worst.
Okay. I've been bamboozled, and I can be the first to admit I was dead wrong.
Everyone was, though.
We all were. He got us. You had the healthy skepticism, though, because that's your job.
Is where being
as a six
is helpful.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. I said, let's wait.
You said basically wait for it. And I said, no. He's not the cookie cutter guy. They got someone different. I hope I run into him in New York. I could be his mom, but I want to hug him. These are things I was saying. And then the reunion.
And
I mean, even by the last episode of this season, the feelings were dissipating, but the reunion was the nail in West's coffin.
Yes. And of course, we're talking Summer House and Sierra and West. And I was very done with him when they were kind of just laying down talking, and she's like, you tell everyone you love him. That doesn't make me feel special. And he couldn't see that. Buddy, you call everybody baby. All this, she was onto him.
She was, but she was also so good at like laying out her thoughts so calmly, and just, I don't know, her self-respect and like boundaries I thought were amazing. And I just think she carried herself so well. And look where that got her. I mean, this guy, someday he will realize. And I mean, this guy's not going to age well. He's already looking like your gym teacher on back to school night at the reunion. Like, what was he wearing? Whose vision was that? It was so bad. Like, when you take away his charm and charisma, he is not handsome anymore.
Well, and part of that is probably because you saw his charm and charisma, and that accentuated any looks that he had, but now he just has a weird mustache. That's all he's left with a mustache. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and he looks like an overgrown juvenile with his hair, and like I know oversized is in, but the suit was not it.
But Rebekah, go ahead.
No, that was it.
Okay,
that was fair to call me out on. But there's one other criminal thing I wanted to mention that happened today that I didn't get to tell you.
Oh, tell me.
I was the victim of financial fraud.
What happened?
And I'm so embarrassed, and I can't believe I'm sharing this, but I want to know if anyone has been scammed this way.
Okay.
So I've been preparing for like an interview type thing all day.
Right.
So I took a little break, took my phone out, scrolled Instagram, as we do. Mm-hmm. And Gwyneth Paltrow, founder of Goop, comes on my story and says, Hi, I'm Gwyneth Paltrow, founder of Goop, and we just celebrated our 10 millionth customer. And to thank you for being a Goop customer. So here I am thinking, I have ordered a few Goop products.
Oh, okay.
Not the clothing, the beauty stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I love the clothing. It's so expensive, but the beauty stuff's like not terrible, and I've liked it. So to celebrate you being a customer and to thank you, like click this link and you get like their best products for free, a $500 value. You just have to pay shipping. And I was like, click, click, click. Oh my gosh, that's a product I like. So I click it and I go all the way through the transaction. It said my card was declined. I'm like, there's no way. Like, I'm a millionaire. So I do it again. And then this time it goes through, but it takes me to this page that does not look like a Goop receipt. And I start looking a little closer. And at the very same moment, my daughter had been walking in from walking our dog. And I was like, I'm getting so many Goop products for free. And she was like, what are you looking at? And she took my phone, zoomed in, and it was some like very bootleg storefront. And then the transaction went through and I checked my app and they'd already run like a $5 charge on it, probably just to check it. So I had to call my stupid bank and tell them like I didn't lose or have my card stolen. I voluntarily gave it to the bots or whoever.
Yeah.
So that was just such a bummer. And my daughter was really like, I'm really surprised that you did that. Like, that's like, I'm very surprised. And I am too. I feel like I'm kind of savvy, but that made me feel like, wow, I am getting old.
Okay, that's exactly what I was thinking. That's the kind of thing I would definitely fall for. If you say like free shipping, because in my brain, I'd think, oh, just free shipping. Like I have to pay something. They're not giving it to me totally for free. So maybe they'll jack up the prices. Here's my question. Was it Gwyneth AI? Or...
That's what my daughter said. She's like, that's probably AI. That's probably not Gwyneth. So I go back and she's like, show me the story. And I look, it's not Goop. The handle was like some rinky dink handle with Gwyneth's like really bad, like no background AI on top of like I am horrified. Okay. All I can say is I'm tired. I'm a little stressed. I've not been myself. But I was just so embarrassed. But also, I love skincare so much. And Good Genes is one of her products. And that was in it. And I thought, I don't know what I thought. But I'm embarrassed.
It was the hope. Once again, it was the West hopefulness.
I was just going to say, your healthy skepticism, like where I could have used it before hitting confirm. But I'm only out $5. Canceled my card.
That's great.
Won't be getting the skincare.
Yeah.
Anyway, what a bummer.
I know. Well, at least you picked up on it. And thank goodness you have children to help you find your way.
God bless Gen Z. Yep. Well, wait, before we get into the story, because I was going to say, do you have a financial crime to share with me today? Because I don't know what your story is, but I think we have to maybe touch on this thing we've started. You want to go first?
Yeah. So this is still somehow under Tori's spell, but barely. And actually not even.
Yeah, I wanted to say I'm no longer under her spell. The spell is broken.
It broke pretty hard. And I want to say the reason it did is because I don't care about all of her guests. Don't bring the guests on. Talk
it ruins the magic.
Yourself.
Yes. This podcast worked when it was her hitting record with no direction, stream of unconsciousness, as I liked to call it. All of a sudden she's having these
real people,
experts on, and it's so unlistenable. And
it really is.
She's still, she's still her in them, but it's just different when she has to talk and ask questions and listen.
Wait for answers. Yeah.
Yeah. We don't get the same Tori material.
No. And I feel like one of the things you're referring to is her recent episode, Miss Sex. Is that what it is? Is that what it's called?
Yeah. No, it is. All her episodes are titled Miss and then like a topic. So like Miss Smile about her dental work, Miss Sex about sex.
It wasn't even though.
I know. It was so disappointing.
Thank you. That's what I said. I was like, okay, I can't wait to hear what other animals she's had intercourse near, since that seems to be her thing. But no. Sorry. Nope. This is Dr. V. And Dr. V, you may not recognize. I think she's from Married at First Sight for a while.
I wondered. Yeah. She sounded familiar. And I don't like the way she sort of gave Tori authority. I feel like she should have been the expert. I needed her to be a little stronger.
No, but I would like to share one little quote that I found in the transcription because I wasn't going to be able to listen to it again. I just couldn't do it.
Same.
Okay, so Tori curses in front of this Dr. V, and she says, "Can I curse in front of you?" And the doctor says, "Yes, you may, but I might not curse back, but go ahead."
Curse back.
Yeah, and then Tori's like, "I'm learning to say not sorry, not sorry." And then the doctor says, "You decided to write your own story." And Tori says, "I didn't actually." Like, she can't even go into like a normal back and forth. And the doctor says, "You didn't? We're all over the place." And yes, Dr. V, we are all over the place.
That's the subtitle of the podcast.
Oh my gosh. Yes, she's all over the place. But the doctor, I mean, by the end, she was like, "Why was I here?" And I wondered the same thing.
Yeah, and she wanted to kind of hit all the like very typical what you would expect bullet points to say to a woman who's 50 and going through a divorce, and Tori just like wouldn't let her at any turn. Like you said, she's like the worst improver. She was like, no but.
She went to Fourth City.
Yeah. She went to the Ceilings.
There you go. And that might have only been funny to me and you. I don't know. But yeah. Okay. What did you learn? Did you learn anything?
No, I didn't write anything down.
Was that
like
bad?
the magic is so gone for me. I will say I've learned that almost everyone she has on, maybe with the exception of Dr. V, she basically calls her best friend.
Everyone is her best friend in the history of the world.
Everyone is her best friend. And I was thinking about how, as I get older, how I say best friend less.
Yeah.
Like, even my best friends are now like my closest friend or one of my closest friends. Like, best friend kind of ceases to be as much of a thing. Yeah. Especially when all your friends are best friends. Then what does it even mean?
Yeah. Well, this is a whole West Sierra moment that you're having right now.
Oh my gosh. The way that it's seeping into this whole episode is chef's kiss.
Wow. We did it. No, I totally agree. But I think she's just somebody that's always done it. Because I remember, again, I've watched all of her shows, reality shows. Everyone was her best friend. And until you hear it week after week after week, you don't realize that she truly does it with every person in her life.
Correct. I mean, I know those gunkles to her kids are her best friends.
R.I.P. to one of them. One of them died. I don't know which one.
Oh, that is sad. The actor she just had on is her best friend. She had on her best friend, Jessie. I think that was her name. She had on her dentist, who's her best friend. Mm-hmm. She, like, her manager's her best friend. The producer of the show is her best friend.
It's weird. It's unsettling. So I don't really have much else to bring up, except she talked about bringing a show I actually liked back, So Notorious, and Set Me on Fire. But I actually really enjoyed that show. And I hope they don't bring it back, because that's like, I can look back on that as like a time I enjoyed.
A time and place.
Yeah.
VH1
was really doing it at the time. I used to watch it in the mornings. On Sunday mornings, it would come in the morning and then premiere at night. But like, you could somehow, I don't think I'm crazy. I feel like there was a time where like things would be at 10 o'clock on Sunday night, but you could watch it at 8 o'clock the morning of. I don't know what was happening. If I'm wrong, if I'm right, somebody tell me. Don't tell me if I'm wrong. I don't need that. But I think that was a thing. Sometimes I would record it, but I knew it came on earlier.
Wow, interesting.
Yeah, is it? I don't think it is.
I don't know.
That's been another and maybe final edition of Under Tori's Spell.
TBD. I think it really all depends on how she handles the rest of the season. Is she going to go it alone or keep bringing in these charlatans?
Yeah, I got to see what my name is when I review things before I write like a very like disappointed.
Yes, same. I'm pretty sure I show up as one of my previous podcast names, and I can't have that. So I need to like create a new profile or something.
It does keep me from writing trash about people, though. Like,
it's true. I'm
just kidding.
Keep it to yourself.
Just kidding. But Rebekah, would you like to get into the episode for this week, of which it's been 4 weeks, and I do greatly apologize. We had CrimeCon and Just Life, and I hope you guys enjoyed hearing from Amy from this recap. So fun,
She's
right?
So good. And also another thing I'm missing is Seeking Sister Wife on Monday nights.
I know. I haven't gotten
such a hole in my schedule.
A reminder from Rebekah.
I know.
I was really depending on it. So Rebekah, last week I left you Nope. 4 weeks ago, I left you with 3 clues. A&E, Jules, and Jinx. And no ideas. You shouldn't. There's no reason you should.
Well, wait, Jinx like the Jinx?
Like the Jinx.
Okay, so Andrew Jarecki, Bob Durst. No, I don't know where that would be in terms of a reality TV crime. So let's go.
Let's go.
Please.
Okay. So we're discussing this guy. You probably won't know him. You don't know him, but that's okay. I'm certain you'll know several of the people that he claims to know. Okay. And you'll know them quite well. Crime isn't new in the reality world, of course. In fact, we've made an entire podcast just about that. But sometimes, Rebekah, the reality shows focus on crime or criminals, like they did with the A&E series, Inmate to Roommate. Rebekah, are you familiar with this show?
No.
Love it. It's in the 2nd season right now, and it gives a firsthand look at 6 inmates from across the U.S. as they leave prison to live with families that agreed to open their homes. Now,
wow.
Yeah, when I say families, I don't mean their families. I mean regular old people that they may never have met until this person comes to live with them.
Fascinating.
Yeah, and you know a lot. You know the statistics way more than I do. I'm not going to put you on the spot with that, but the chances of recidivism, which is the hardest word in my life, is much, much lower if someone released from prison goes into a stable home or just like has a place to live. Yeah. And Rebekah, while I had heard of this show, I hadn't watched it until recently. That is, until a TikToker by the name of Julian Higgins started breaking down the show, and I became obsessed with it, and obsessed a little bit with the subject of today's episode, a man by the name of William Steele. Not familiar, right?
No.
Perfect. Now, before we get into William, or Bill as he's called on the show, I want to show you a TikTok and kind of where it all started for me.
Fun.
No noise, screaming, yelling, doors count. I'm looking forward to my breakfast. My first breakfast as a free man.
I don't know if they can deliver the best one.
Is it good? Yes. Man, is that good.
What is that?
We'll all say grace real quick. Heavenly Father, we are thankful for Bill, his newfound freedom.
Also, to whoever said that he got a baby face.
Whether or not.
Okay.
So that's kind of my introduction to Bill and to Inmate to Roommate, just this awkward interaction. And also Julian's amazing commentary. He's so funny.
Yes.
And if you want to know what crimes Bill was in for, I'm sure you do. And thank goodness, because that's what this episode is about. We'll get to that. But first, we have to go all the way back to the 1900s. Do your kids call it the 1900s? Mine do, and it makes me so mad.
I think they have, and it's
so rude, so disrespectful. So William Steele was born on May 20th, 1963 in Brooklyn, New York. He was one of 3 children, and he grew up in a middle-class family. He said his dad worked a blue-collar job. His mom stayed home with the kids, but unfortunately, his mom suffered from some really pretty serious mental health issues. And Bill talks about this more in depth in an interview he did with Inside True Crime. But he said he grew up with neighbors teasing his mom and it's like back in that time where people openly did those sorts of things. And he said he always felt very, very protective of his mom. And so he would do whatever he could to defend her. And this is kind of a fun story, but also kind of to understand a little bit more about his mom. He said when it was his birthday one year, she really wanted him to have a nice birthday. And so she invited both Jimmy Carter and members of the royal family to his birthday party. I know, I thought that was sweet.
That's sweet. Yeah, it's very cute.
But as we go along, I will say the truth is probably not exactly the truth in all of these stories. I feel like there's pieces of it, and as we go along, you'll see what I mean. But according to Bill, they actually received letters back from either the royal family or the president on stationery, like official stationery.
They said, according to Bill, they actually did come. I was like, well, I see what you're saying about the truth.
No, I don't even trust a letter. But then he tells this other story where he said his mom sends a picture of Bill as a child holding a BB gun pointed at the camera. So it looks like this kid is shooting at the camera, right? She sends it to Jimmy Carter, President Jimmy Carter, And according to Bill, this leads to him being detained by the Secret Service. I guess this was when he was older. See, do you see what I mean?
Yeah. I like that story, though.
I do too. I'm like, okay, I'll listen to it. I don't even care if it's true. But his meetups with government officials were far from over. So after high school, he goes on to community college before he settles into a career in real estate. During his studies, he also began to study locksmithing, which I didn't really think went together, but he makes it work.
New York City.
Oh, okay.
Like, they're so necessary and so expensive. I bet they do very well, actually.
Especially if you do what he did, which is not maybe the best thing. So Bill is really a natural salesman, and he quickly finds success and money in real estate. And Bill at some point claims, his lifelong dream was to be like James Bond or someone like James Bond and, doing things, but for the betterment of others. And so sometimes you have to break some laws, Rebekah.
Sure.
Right? That's what we learn here at Criminality. Break the law. So, and this may have led to his decision to really go into locksmithing more and vault security later on, like his love of James Bond and that sort of thing. He may have even wanted to work for the CIA, which is truly a thing he considered at one point, which,
okay,
good for him. Around this time, Bill's best friend has died in a car accident, and Bill is totally devastated by this loss, and he begins to self-medicate. And some of that medication ends up being cocaine. And before long, this really amazing salesman goes from using cocaine to selling it, and that's when things start to go off the rails.
Okay.
So while Bill has this cocaine habit, he continues working in real estate, and in security. And at this point, he's in South Florida. So Bill's working in these $1 million homes, installing their security systems and locks. While he's there, he's kind of casing the place, right? He knows the codes. He's making himself an extra key for the locks and all of that, right? So part of his ruse was he would say, I am in real estate and I'm trying to find a home for my sister. She can't be here. So, show me the home. I'm going to take some pictures. I'm going to take some video. I need to give this to her. So that was kind of like his way of seeing what homes to break into and whatnot.
Yeah.
So Bill is able to use his keys and his codes and break into a lot of these homes. And he said that each time he broke in, he would manage to steal around like $50,000 worth of stuff.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. I mean, he was pretty good until his luck finally runs out and he's caught. But between 1991 and 2002, Bill is in and out of jail with at least 9 felony convictions, including, burglary, grand theft, and cocaine possession.
Yikes.
Let's not forget about his high-speed chase in Broward County, Florida. This was kind of interesting. It's 2002. He's stolen a rental car from Lake Worth, which is in Florida. And police are able to pull his prints from a cup that he leaves in the car that he's stolen. And he's charged with grand theft auto, not the game. And he's sentenced to 10 years in prison. So
oh my gosh,
that one mistake. I mean, he was doing a lot of things. The man had to go to prison, but anyway. And I have to assume that Bill stole several cars because please check out this clip of Bill driving.
I've done a lot of high-speed chases. One of the incidents that stands out is when I played chicken with the police. Accelerated to about 100 miles an hour, playing chicken with them. They all pulled on the shoulder of the road, let me pass. Completely gave up the chase. Oh, man. Whoa. When I was younger, we used to steal a lot of cars in New York. And for example, if I stole a Cadillac or whatever we were stealing at the time, I'd have a few days of fun with them. What are you doing? I might race it through the snow at 40 miles an hour, spin out in the snow, learn how to handle on really dangerous situations. And I just became a very good driver by learning how to drive under dangerous circumstances.
Break. Okay.
I was hoping we'd find a bigger lot where I could really just open it up a little bit.
No, this is all you can handle for sure. Bill's driving like a maniac. This feels more like a joyride in a stolen car.
I like Bill. Bill's fun.
Kind of fun, right?
Yeah.
I will say he does get the things he says he's involved with later. You're welcome to change your mind on him.
You know what? Let's just cut it. Let's just cut it now. Cut my losses. I don't need to be wrong this many times.
But I will say I felt the same way when I watched him. Me, a 6, I was like, this man is delightful.
Delightful's the word. Yeah.
Right? I'm not going to say winsome because that is not the word we're going to use. But if nothing else happened in this story, I would say winsome. So after about 3 years in prison for this auto theft, Bill comes up with a plan. He's been sentenced to 10 years. So he decides, instead of finishing up these next 7 years, I'm going to blow this joint and escape. And that's exactly what he does. So according to the Stewart News on May 10th, 2005, he's on work detail with fellow inmates in Indiantown, Florida. At around 10:15, the only corrections officer that's supervising these inmates does a head count and counted Bill as being there. Sometime over the next 15 minutes, Bill and 4 other minimum security inmates bail, and by 10:30, an alert sent out that Bill and these other 4 prisoners have escaped. Yeah. So we aren't sure what the other 4 inmates did while they were on the run, but I'd love to tell you about Bill's escapades. So Bill runs off and he sees a meter reader taking a reading like on the side of a house. So he steals the guy's bike and ditches his prison clothes and he bikes to a nearby retirement home.
Does he put on an oversized suit like Wes?
That would have been a better idea. But he does convince this sweet little old lady that he needs a ride to the hospital because his wife is having a baby and asks if she'd give him a ride. And she's like, absolutely, of course. The problem is she agrees and they hop in her Ford Focus and they drive to at least 4 different hospitals.
Stop.
I know. After the first one, I hope she was like, I'm being scammed. How far in the Goop story are we?
I was just going to say, she's not yet at the landing page that has a non-English URL. So she's willing to go to another hospital. She's like doing it for the womanhood of it all. She's like, there's a woman in labor.
Yeah. And her husband somehow doesn't know which hospital she's at.
You know, honestly, that's actually kind of believable.
So she ends up driving around. They can't find the wife. And she ends up dropping him off at Burger King where she gives him $20 because he doesn't have any money. So Rebekah, she's out more than you are.
True. I feel better. I feel better. Also, that goes a long way at Burger King back in whatever year this was.
Yeah, like the late 90s, 80s, something like that. Yeah, like she was not playing.
Feasted up.
Yeah. So when she finds out, you know, that she's just given this escaped prisoner a joyride, basically.
And a meal.
I know.
Too.
She says, you know what? He was really nice. We discussed family and religion, and it was just a nice afternoon for her.
Okay, so she's lonely. It's all making sense.
Yeah. She thought they were eating together for the 20, but I guess
yes, she was like, grab me a Whopper.
So at this point, Bill is at Burger King. Obviously, he has to leave because authorities are looking for him. And so he's able to evade capture for 2 weeks.
Wow.
Yeah. Rebekah, do you want to know how he got caught? It's not the most interesting story, but I thought it was kind of interesting.
Was he doing something mundane like getting a sandwich at a grocery store? Like
no, that would have been
Bob
great.
Durst? No. Okay. Well, because you said the Jinx, so I was wondering if it was the same arrest.
Oh, smart. Oh, I would not give you that vague of a clue if that was the only one. I did that earlier in our show. I won't do that again. So there's a security guard at Daytona Beach, and they see him trying to steal a pry bar from a Sears store. A pry bar. What else would you use a pry bar for except for...
Bill.
Yeah, like it's the most obvious one. So he's arrested. He tells the police, my name is William Brooks, but they have like 1,000 of his fingerprints on file, and they're able to see it's Bill Steele and not William Brooks. Apparently there was an issue with some of the research. I had the lovely Elizabeth Atwell help me again and finding his name because he did have this like semi-alias he was using.
That's so funny. Pseudonym. Alias is the right word.
Right.
It's not like a pen name.
Hold on. Hold that thought. We're getting there. Yes.
Goodness. Is he published?
Just wait, Rebekah. So his reasoning for escaping is kind of interesting. And it's probably not all true, but it's a good story. So According to Bill, one of the guards at this work camp he's at threatens to tell the other inmates that he's an informant.
That Bill's an informant?
Yes, that Bill's an informant. I don't know a lot about prison, but I do know that snitches get stitches. And I'm pretty sure being an informant for, according to him, the ATF would be a lot of stitches.
Yeah.
Maybe the most. So for the ATF's part, though, they do not confirm or deny that Bill has been any assistance with the agency. Yeah. But the lovely Elizabeth, again, found a 2003 hearing transcript that showed he had tipped off the ATF about some inmates that planned robberies back in 2002 and 2003. So he did have some communication in writing.
But I wonder if it was an assigned position or if he was just offering that to help himself. So it's interesting. I don't know. Okay.
Oh, and with him, you will never know.
We will never know.
Kind of what I like.
Okay.
And while he only escaped for 2 weeks, his plan is much bigger. He wanted to go to his old home in Palm Beach, get some stuff, leave the country.
Yeah.
So he assumes, he gets caught, that gets foiled. What am I going to get? A couple months extra, a year? Want to guess how much longer he got?
Well, I could imagine that they don't look favorably upon escaped incarcerated individuals and that they would throw the book at him to make an example to other inmates. So I want to say, how much of his sentence had he served? Do we know?
10 years.
We don't know.
Oh, no. He was 3 years, I think.
He was 3 years in when he escaped. Okay, so I want to say they gave him his 7 years, like plus another 2 or something.
15 extra years.
Oh, okay. That seems punitive.
It really is.
Although it's really bad to escape prison, though. I don't know. I'm torn.
Well, if he had committed a violent crime while he was out there, throw the book at him.
This is my whole thing is so far he has not committed any violence.
And we'll keep going because we'll see what happens. But before we do, let's take a quick break to hear a word from this week's sponsors. So with all this extra time that Bill has to think, he decides that it's time to change and take his life in a more positive direction. So while he's in prison, he advocated to get college programs for inmates. He also took college courses and spent time helping inmates understand the law. And he also got involved in ministry. According to Bill, he wanted to go back to the person he was before he started committing crimes. And Bill really seemed to do that after what he referred to. Have you ever had that moment when you're leaving the house and you wonder, did I lock the door? Or worse yet, you start spiraling and you imagine all the what ifs. I used to feel that way all the time, but it wasn't until a few years ago when I heard about a break-in just a few blocks away that I realized I needed to really step up my home security game. And now I can spiral about the what ifs on things that don't matter, like reality stars, instead of the what ifs of home security. We've had SimpliSafe protecting our house for the last few years now, and it's a total game changer. With SimpliSafe's Fast Protect monitoring, I know within 5 seconds if something's actually up, and the lifeguards can actually speak to intruders to stop them. That's faster than a reality TV star can throw a drink. One of the things I really love the most is you're not locked into some over-the-top 90-day fiancé level contract drama. SimpliSafe is actually affordable as well, less than $1 a day with no hidden fees, so it's easy to love. It's no wonder they've been named Best Home Security Systems by U.S. News and World Report for 5 years running. Whether you want to install it yourself, it really takes less than an hour, or have a professional handle it, SimpliSafe is as easy as flipping channels between Chimp Crazy and The Secret Lives of Mormon Wives. So why wait for the drama to happen? Get SimpliSafe and know your home is covered just like I did. Protect your home with 50% off a new SimpliSafe system, plus a free indoor security camera when you sign up for Fast Protect monitoring. Just visit simplysafe.com/criminality. That's simplysafe.com/criminality. There's no safe like SimpliSafe.
Okay, it's time to commit. 2024 is the year for prioritizing yourself. Begin your new smile journey with Byte, and you could start seeing results in just 2 to 3 weeks. Just order your at-home impression kit today for only $14.95 at Byte.com. Byte clear liners are doctor-directed and delivered to your door. Treatment costs thousands less than braces, plus they offer financing options, accept eligible insurance, and you could pay with your HSA, FSA. Get 80% off your impression kit when you use code WONDERY at Byte.com. That's BYTE.com. Start your confidence journey today with Byte.
As this spiritual awakening, he wants to make amends for the things he's done in the past.
Oh.
According to him, he did this in several ways. I I just don't know what to believe.
Sure.
One thing he said he did was he helped get numerous illegal firearms off the street. Okay. And here's the one where I'm a little more shocked. In 2 separate cases, he was able to help get individuals released that had been falsely charged with murders they didn't commit. And it's definitely falsely charged, not falsely convicted.
Okay, so that's more plausible than convicted because even the lawyers can't get wrongly convicted people out, or it takes them many years. So very interesting. I don't know how to substantiate this.
Nobody does.
Yeah.
Because there is still more to get into and it's hard to verify all of these claims, I won't give you all the details.
Okay.
But one of them he claims to have helped was a teenager that was framed for a murder that Bill's friend actually committed.
Okay, so he had some inside scoop. So
Yeah,
he's
that
like,
is
I can
inside
help
scoop.
with this. Yeah.
And the other one was a teenager with an intellectual disability who had falsely confessed to a murder he didn't commit after being beat and abused by detectives. So both of those plausible to some degree, right?
I don't know. The likelihood of one, like I'll give you one.
Sure.
To have 2 stories like that is, I don't know about
I know.
statistically.
Well,
Right?
Exactly. And I feel like charged versus convicted, like you were saying, I feel like maybe we don't even have a statistic for that as far as like people who are wrongfully charged versus wrongfully convicted.
That would be an interesting study, but
Yeah.
for another time.
So again, all this is hard to prove.
Yeah.
I'm going to quick name a few more things that Bill claims. And while he was a documented police informant, the devil's in the details. And I don't know how much I believe his details. You'll hear more about the documented in a minute. Number 1, Bill testified in the trial of a man accused of killing an officer, claiming the man confessed during a church service in 1992. So this is documented.
Okay.
The second, he posed as a hitman for hire. And I'm sure there's more to that one, but that one was like he was going to be the hitman. He wasn't actually the hitman, but he was posing
Involved
as
in a
hitman.
sting.
Yeah.
Like the
Those are
Dahlia
words.
DiPolito story.
One of my
It's like
favorite.
my favorite.
Right?
Me too. Oh my God. I love that
Wild.
story.
The video of her coming out.
Oh, the crying. Oh.
So good. But thanks to the Stewart Times sharing about his testifying in the murder of this police officer. So that like made big news that he was on the stand doing this testifying. He was deemed a bit of a hero. So Rebekah, if you were a confidential informant and the newspaper wants to speak with you, what would you do? A, say no thanks. B, say only if you redact my name and all identifying characteristics. Or C, give them a list of handy tips for confidential informants.
C.
Perfect. Would you like to know what those tips are that he gave to the newspaper for
Absolutely.
informants?
Let's publish those, please.
First, remember to swipe any newspaper that might contain your
gosh.
name. Next, disguise your meetings with law enforcement as medical visits. Number 3, despite any confrontation, never divulge your involvement with law enforcement. And number 4, that was really interesting to me, he said, realize you're not alone, which is a hilarious thing to think about in this context. Because like that's one thing you would hear, like, you're not alone in this world, but he's
In a struggle, a universal struggle.
This is not, thank you. He's acting like this is a universal struggle. He says, quote, 80% of the people in prison are snitching, and the other 20% wish they had something to snitch about.
Whoa.
I know, but I don't know if
That's
it's
an
true.
interesting statement.
It is.
This guy's interesting. I don't know what's true and what's not, but I can see why you did a story
know.
about him. This
Yeah.
is cool.
It is. And so, again, all of this can't be verified. Some of it can. And probably the parts you don't think can be verified actually are verified. Okay, Rebekah, now that you know a little about Bill, do you want to hear a little about those people that he knows that you know?
That he knows. Yes, this is the
Okay.
clue. Please.
This is your connection. Okay.
I have a guess.
Oh, please guess.
Is it real estate in New York? Yeah, because the Durst family is a huge real estate family. Yeah,
Yes.
bring it to me. Give it to
Okay,
me.
let's do it. First, Bill comes up in New York real estate, as you
Sure.
said. And again, who do you know in the true crime world that recently passed away, burped his secrets, and couldn't spell Beverly to literally save his life? And that is Robert Durst. Of course. Mm-hmm. So one thing I didn't tell you, but you actually figured out, Rebekah, is that Bill is now a published author.
That's wild.
Isn't it? When you said it, I was like, are you sharing my notes with me? He is a published author. I'm pretty sure it's self-published. I didn't go that far into it, but
he's clearly a storyteller. So, I mean, I'd read it at this point.
well, you might have the opportunity. So he's written a few books, and one of them originally was going to be more of a memoir. As he's writing it, though, he's in prison, and he's seeing all these stories about his old friend Robert Durst in the news. But, of course, you guys know Robert Durst, the Jinx. The season 2 finally finished. It was great. Season 1 was amazing. But back to Bill. As Bill sees these new reports about his friend Bob, in the news, he realizes, my book about my life is about to get more interesting.
Oh, boy.
I am friends with Robert Durst. I cannot verify this. But he says, my book's going in a new direction. So he titles his first book, Sex and the Serial Killer, My Bizarre Times with Robert Durst.
Oh, he really took a turn.
Yeah. He was like
leaning into this little connection.
Definitely using it for his advantage. So here's how he claims to have met Robert Durst. Back in his real estate days in New York, he claims that he and a friend are walking in Manhattan. He, being Bill, has a drink in his hand. So he runs into Bob Durst and Susan Berman. Literally, he has his drink in his hand. It falls on Bob. According to Bill, Bob is livid. He flies into a rage. He also says they're both carrying guns and they were both ready to pull them out on each other in the middle of a Manhattan street. Okay.
No.
Just
Nope.
How do you know he has one? You have one, but how do you know? I just love the idea of both of them have their hands on the gun.
It's like a stick up.
Yeah. This is not the Wild West. But here's what he says that Susan says. He says Susan is there and Bob Durst is angry and freaking out and she's trying to calm him down, right? So they all go in the restaurant and Susan's apologizing to Bill saying, it's okay. He's going through a lot. I'm sorry. And Bill says that Susan says, that's very important. So Bill, our character, says that Susan says, quote, I'm really sorry. He's very wealthy. His wife was just murdered and he's on edge, end quote.
No.
Not believable at all.
No.
And at this point, this is all according to Bill, at this point, Kathleen's still missing. And
that's what I'm saying. She would never have said that. Okay, go on.
But then he claims that she says, oh, whoops, I didn't mean to say that. I meant that she's missing.
No,
I know.
Stop it, Bill. Bill, you had me. You had me. Now you're westing me.
Get ready. No. You've been wested. So he claims after this rage fight, like they're talking and they become friends. They become besties. He becomes besties with Bob Durst. And Durst finds out that it's going to get crazier, that Bill is a locksmith and asks Bill if he's willing to cross the line, like to do something. And Bill says,
as a matter of fact, Bob.
Yeah. Bill says anything's possible for the right price. So I won't get really into the detail and in the mud in this part, but Bill claims that Durst, I'm going to call him Durst from now on, often hired sex workers. And Bill knew that Durst and his guests are using drugs. And while Bill doesn't call this friendship really a friendship with Durst, he calls it mutual usury, which I actually like that as a thing. Like both people are using each other.
Okay.
He's a writer. I don't question it.
Poetic.
He claims he's never involved in the things that Durst is doing, which are quite graphic and horrible. But he says that, okay, I forgot how wild this is.
This is wild.
He says Durst does happen to show him a picture of one time of a woman that's dead. And he thinks to himself, I've seen that woman coming into this house before. He's like, Durst killed her. And whoops, I've seen her before. He's always connected to everything, this Bill.
Yeah, right, exactly.
But he's never done
remarkable.
Anything wrong. Right. So the cherry on top of this crap sundae is that he says that Durst asks him, Bill, to kill Susan Berman, but he refuses.
Oh my gosh. Stop. Just stop.
Please
stop. I can't.
I can't. And his next book is called Ghislaine, sensational and impure. I know.
Bill.
I know. Go ahead.
Okay, there's a diagnosis for Bill, and I don't know what it is. I'm not a professional. But like you said, he inserts himself in every like salacious crime story.
It's wild.
I have to call BS on the Durst thing, and I'm sorry. I know we are running out of time, but I have to share, and I might have already shared this.
Please do.
I worked in marketing real estate for a few years in New York City, and I have been on a large conference call with members of the Durst family. If you at all work in real estate in New York City, you've dealt with a Durst. You don't have to bump into them on Park Avenue and have a stick up gunfight with drinks. Like, if he legitimately worked in real estate, so I think he maybe did know him from a normal interaction of real estate, but that's not interesting or something you can write in a book. I really think it's plausible he met him and dealt with him, and more likely his brother, and that he made this whole other thing up.
Okay, we'll get ready for the next thing he made up. And I have to believe this part is made up. I have to.
Okay.
So, Bill claims that as he was stealing jewelry, he would sometimes go to the business of this diamond jeweler to sell them there, I guess.
Yeah.
Conveniently, at this jeweler one time, he sees Jeffrey Epstein. And like trigger
This
warning.
is amazing.
Yeah. Fast forward it like a minute or two because this is not great.
Yeah.
He said he sees Epstein put his hands down the pants of an underage girl.
Stop it.
In
a
the jewelry
diamond
store.
district of New York City. I can't.
So he follows Jeffrey out to berate him and question the girl because he's going to be the hero in this.
Vigilante.
Epstein says, "This is my niece and she's actually 18." And Bill says, "That wouldn't actually make a lot of sense," which for once I agree with him. Like that is terrible.
Still not okay. Yeah.
So then that's when he says, "You shouldn't be touching this girl." And he pulls out his gun and he tells Epstein to sit down and don't move.
Sorry. Then the little white flag comes out.
I know. Pew, pew. It's the same little BB gun his mom took a picture of with him.
And then he pulls out the Jimmy Carter letter. He's like, under the authority of the president from the 1970s. I don't know when he was president.
I don't either, but I think that sounds good. It makes us sound young. So he says to the girl, he talks to the girl separately, and it's like, "What's going on?" And she says the same thing that Epstein says. And he's like, "I don't care who you are. I'm going to my friend who I sell stolen diamonds to right now. And I'm going to get this video and give it to the police." Wow.
Okay. Give us the proof. Show us the receipts, Bill.
Here's the problem. Apparently, Epstein freaks out and he bribes either $50,000 or $100,000 to the jeweler to throw it out. It gets worse. And after all that, including what Bill just witnessed, as well as Epstein having a gun pulled out on him, he and Bill start talking. They decide they're going to be friends.
Oh my God. With friends like Epstein and Durst, who needs enemies?
I know. So,
oh my gosh.
I know. It's so much and just so wild.
This is incredible, Melissa. This is
good.
Incredible.
It's just so unbelievable.
I'm living for every moment of this.
Good. Okay, we're getting close to the end. Sorry, this is long. Epstein claims that he buys a lot of jewelry and wants to see what Bill has. And Bill claims eventually he meets Ghislaine, and she and Epstein would buy stolen jewelry from him to give to these girls that they were like grooming, not for themselves. They buy the non-stolen stuff for themselves.
Sure.
And Bill claimed he saw videos and pictures of world figures with young girls. And he said, "I thought it was bad, but that's about it." He said, "They knew I did not agree with what they were doing."
Oh, thanks, Bill, for drawing that firm line in the sand. I'll only sell them diamonds.
Stolen diamonds.
I will not report the abuse.
Never. So at some point, he also claims that he and Ghislaine had a sexual relationship because nothing says "I don't agree with what you're doing," like shacking up with old Giz. It doesn't make any sense.
I'm just waiting for the book collab with Michael Peterson. Like, tell me it's coming.
Oh my gosh. Wouldn't that be crazy if I was like, "You're never going to believe this"?
The trifecta.
Okay. He goes into some other stuff about when the last time he saw them, he said he planned to steal things that would be evidence of their crimes. Cause now he's got to get them found out. Like they have to go to jail for this stuff he has known for years. Of course. So it's not clear whether he planned to steal more evidence or whether he forgot about this other story about evidence that he had told before. There's like a whole other thing that I just skipped over, but like his story's not adding up. Trigger warning again, briefly, 30 seconds. He claims that Ghislaine tied him up and had sex with him. Apparently, he was restrained for days. And during this time, Ghislaine asked Bill to kill Epstein for her. And he says that she let him go after he agreed to go along with it.
So now he's writing fantasy is what this sounds like. Sorry.
Yeah. And if for some reason you wanted to read these books, which Rebekah, at one point you did say tonight that you did, but you might have been westing. I don't know.
I think you've given me the highlight reel.
Okay. Yeah. So take it from one reviewer that said, quote, "This book seems to be a poorly written fabrication. After reading it, I regret buying it and wasting my time on it. I saw the author on a podcast and he seems like a pathological liar."
I've already out $5 today. I'm going to save my money.
Well, you're still doing better off than his hitchhiking granny.
Getaway driver.
Yeah. So speaking of his books, Rebekah, let's get into the show he was on. And let's talk about someone who didn't read his book because she said it was filled with sex and bad words, so she wouldn't read it. And that's a lovely lady by the name of Sharna, who just so happens to be the roommate equation of this Inmate to Roommate show.
Okay.
We're introduced to Sharna, a middle-aged lady from Elkhart, Indiana. And we also meet Sharna's husband, Mark, who she said she met on a Seventh-day Adventist dating site. This is not important to say, but I am going to say it. People on the TikTok have said that her husband, Mark, looks like Boss Baby. And once you say that, you'll never unsee it. He has the tiniest face I've ever seen. Decent man, but it's you can't unsee it.
Yes.
Okay, so the couple's been married 7 years when we meet them. And if you're thinking Mark is the person doing the pen paling to Bill, you'd be wrong. Sharna had started writing Bill through an inmate pen pal program 5 years before. Go ahead.
No, I was just Sharna, full of surprises.
She's full of it. So she said that she had been having issues in her marriage. This is 2 years in. And she needed something to do to kill the time and focus on helping others instead of her own problems.
Okay.
And Mark, her husband, says, Sharna says Bill has never been inappropriate to her in calls or letters. But Mark is big worried about his wife's pen pal moving in with them. I don't know how he agreed to this, but
yeah, I can't imagine how that conversation went.
Very boring, I'll tell you that. These two are the most boring people I've ever seen, especially by contrast with Bill. So before we get any further, and I promise we're coming to the end, I'd like you to meet Sharna and Mark while on a call with Bill shortly before his release.
What? This story is bonkers.
I'm leaving tomorrow to go pick up Bill. I'm going to be driving my van to Virginia for about 10 hours, and then I will sleep in my van overnight close to the prison, wait for him to come out, pick him up, bring him back, and he's coming to live with us. Hey, Bill. Good morning.
Hey, Shauna.
Hey.
Good morning.
Hey, Mark. How you doing?
Good.
Bill has been in prison a little over 18 years. I'm just really excited to let him adapt to being back out in the free world and anxious to get in the car and hit the road. What time are you getting out?
They said I'd probably get out of here about 8 o'clock.
Okay. What's the first thing you want to do when you get out?
I haven't thought that far ahead.
Okay.
We should stop in Miami. Let's go to Miami for a couple of days.
I don't think that's a good idea, Bill. I don't think that's a good idea. Sorry.
What are you doing when you get out of prison, Bill? I'm going to Disney World.
I think Sharna can be very naive, and I sure hope that Bill coming to parole here does not turn around to bite us in the back.
Go ahead. Tell me your thoughts.
Sharna, why do you have to sleep in the van near the prison? I don't understand.
Well, here you'll figure this out in just a minute. But I love Mark piping in to be like, I don't think it's a good idea. That's
also, maybe don't ask him the first thing he wants to do is when he gets out of prison. That's a loaded question.
And he knew that too.
Gosh, this is so uncomfortable.
It gets worse. So Sharna drives the 10 hours to go pick up Bill, sleeps in her car, and is there to pick Bill up. And Bill's happy to see her. He hugs her like you'd hug a friend.
Sure.
And then they drive back, and the ride is fine. But when he gets there, he's met with Mark and Mark's rules. Rebekah, I'd like you to read a couple of these rules. That's also in there.
The image?
That is the actual image. There's a few hearts and things on there that have been added, but it was that purple with the rainbow and Bill's house rules.
Well, how many do you want me to read? There's a lot. Okay,
Just
let's
pick
start.
Pick a couple.
No drinking or drugs, no
Sure.
smoking, no strip clubs or bars, no women or overnight guests, no R-rated movies, no pornography, no profanity, no consorting with criminals. That's going to be hard for Bill.
It's going to be hard for them. They're in the house with him.
That's true. Good point. No taking the Lord's name in vain. Abide by rules set by PO.
Here's my favorite. Refrain
Chores.
from gluttony.
Help with the chores like he's a kid. He's going to get a chore. Yeah, no gluttony. Be respectful of homeowners. Non-compliance results in penalties.
Yes. Mark will give them to you. By the way, this poster of rules is in his room, which inexplicably has like kid stuff in it, like unicorns and stuff like that. It's wild.
Do you think they were like, why don't we have an exchange student come from another country? And Sharna's like,
through.
Nah, let's have a formerly incarcerated individual on parole come.
Who
I don't
I've
know.
been pen pals with while going through a hard time in my marriage.
She's like, I was hoping you'd ask about this.
Exactly.
This is so bizarre.
It is. So once he sees the rules, I mean, he laughs because they are just so wild. And he's getting ready for, his first meals after prison, and he wants to have bacon. You'll never believe it, but these people are vegetarian, and they don't allow
Didn't see
meat
that
in
coming.
their house.
Oh my gosh, that should be on the list.
I
Mark.
know.
No meat.
But there's like a funny clip where Bill sneaks a sandwich into the house, which of course has meat on it, and he like keeps it on his air vent to keep it cool, and he eats it in the bathroom so he doesn't get shot. Yeah, he called Sharna the meat police, and that was pretty funny. But he gets caught by Mark, and they're deeply disappointed that he can't follow the rules. But he befriends a neighbor, and the neighbor's like, you can leave meat over here. I don't care. That's stupid. So
Come on over for bacon anytime.
yes. Okay. And while I feel like Mark wouldn't have budged on the rules, I do think Sharna may have done that for Bill. That is until she found out that Bill had a girlfriend. Dun, dun, dun.
So she really had feelings
Sounds
for him.
like it. If you
Oh my
see,
gosh.
you saw her smile in the kitchen. That's the last time we see her smile.
Yeah, she lit up like a Christmas tree.
Yes. So Bill managed to never tell Sharna about this girlfriend who he planned to marry. They'd only been dating about 3 months, I guess, when he gets out, and she lives in another state. But after finding out about this, it just gets worse for Bill. So
No.
Bill wants to arrange to go see his girlfriend Mary, and he arranges it with Parole, and there's this power struggle. It goes, this is real dramatic. Sharna buys an ice machine, but she doesn't allow Bill to use it. There's no ice in jail, Rebekah, and he loves ice. And she makes him make ice and ice trays, and they use the precious ice machine in the basement. And so this is so wild.
It's
crazy.
This is getting weird.
It's very weird. But anyway, he takes it. Bill goes down to the basement, brings it back up, makes himself ice. And you would have just thought that they like set their animals on fire in front of him. They just could not believe this man would have done it. So Mark is at work, and Sharna is in the doorway of Bill's room, asking him about his trip. And Bill is like, I just have to get out of here. And she keeps telling him, you need instruction and you need reminders. You shouldn't be doing this so early. Like, don't leave. And then he says, well, if you meet Mary and you like her, could she just stay with me?
Oh, boy.
Of course they say no. They've said no a million times.
Yeah,
so,
no overnight guests.
So Bill, I know, it's on the poster. So Bill's had enough, and he makes a big claim about Sharna at this point.
If I decide to bring Mary back, can we live here?
No, I already answered that question, so why do you ask me again?
Because I try to change your mind.
No, when I say no, I mean no.
When you keep saying no, that's harassment.
When you keep asking me, that's harassment.
I'm going to commit the rest of my life to this woman. What's the problem? We can be together because you're married. I'm with her.
I didn't take you on as a pen friend to get married to anybody. I was already married.
You've been down there listening. You've come down there dressed kind of inappropriately for you saying you're a Christian.
No.
When your husband's at work. So
Never.
please,
The only time I ever came
I have
looking
heard
for
you
you.
outside the door. I'm not going to go any further than that. Come on, Shauna.
Well, it's false accusations, Bill, because I don't ever come down here and try this door. The only time I've ever come down, I've knocked on the door and told you to please lower your voice at 11:30 at night because I'm trying to sleep. I do not come down here checking your door.
Just a lady who creeps up on my door in the middle of the night. That stuff started happening after a while, and I was like, Shauna, I'm with Mary. He'd go to work 10 o'clock. She'd be knocking on my door wanting to talk about something.
Sharna, he's calling her out, but he is a liar too. Maybe he's just trying to.
Exactly. I mean, Sharna was like, absolutely not. And
but she didn't have a lot of like gusto behind that.
No, she was like, that's about it. Okay, so Bill leaves Indiana. He goes to California, I think, where Mary is. They get married.
Wow.
Yeah, he comes back because he's still on parole, and which that was all approved to go over there and everything.
Yeah,
but
good.
he comes back, and Mark and Sharna have locked him out of the house.
Uh-oh. But
Yeah.
he's a locksmith. But
I
wait.
know, that's what he says. He's like, this was really stupid because if I wanted to, I could break right in here.
Yeah.
But he really said it was like very mean-spirited and unnecessary for them to do it. Yeah, it was so weird. So anyway, they basically find out if they kick him out, he doesn't go on the streets. And that's when they decide, okay, he's out of here. Like, he can't come back here. And so obviously Bill was upset about this, but like, I think he was just thrilled to be out of that house. So he moves to a motel for not very long. He and Mary are together and they're in their own place now. And he says he holds no ill will towards Mark and Sharna and he prays for them. But if you're wondering where Bill is right now, don't worry, Rebekah, you don't have to look too far. You can find him on TikTok selling autographed photos of, well, you'll see.
Hello, cruel world. This is Bill enjoying his freedom. Something Mark and Shauna didn't want me to have too much of, but I'm living life. We are making movies. We're making shows. There's going to be another show coming out. Check me out. The Silent Partner's coming out this summer. And most of all, this fan favorite, fan request from episode 1, Bill's House Rules, suitable for framing. Let me know if you guys want a copy. Just send me a message.
How much is the poster going for?
I don't know. It says that you can comment and ask him for it. And I was going to, I know he would have responded immediately, but I just forgot. So yeah, you can get an autographed, what did he say? Like, frame ready thing of the house rules.
He's enjoying this post-prison TikTok life, Bill. He's built for it.
The man hadn't seen a smartphone and he's out here making TikToks like all the young girlies.
Doing better on TikTok than me. It's
Than both of
embarrassing.
us.
And no, you at least found him. You're there. You're in the room where it happens.
Yeah, for better or worse. But yeah.
Oh my gosh, that is amazing.
That's the story of William Steele, the man from Inmate to Roommate, and definitely watch that show. Second season is so good. It is really interesting, and there are some people who like you really are cheering for and you want them to make better decisions. So much of it is drugs. Like, it's really sad.
Yeah. I assume these are not people who were convicted of murders.
No. I haven't
Non-violent
found that
crimes.
yet.
Yeah. I had
some
no
have
idea
been
that this
violent crimes though.
Oh, okay. I had not realized that this was even a parole possibility. But it's so great for people who don't have family to go back to, and a lot of people get placed in transitional housing, like halfway houses. But this is an interesting idea. I mean, you could get a Mark and a Sharna, which all things told probably isn't the worst thing that could happen, but it's not great.
Yeah, I mean, there's so much I could have put in there, but like he was like, I'm so excited to watch movies, and they're like, you can't watch rated R. He's like, I have a list of movies. I haven't been able to watch a movie in 18, that kind of thing.
Yeah,
where it's
of
just like they
course.
can't.
And he's a New Yorker, and at the end he's like, I'm a New Yorker, forget about it. Everything is up for negotiation.
Whether it's true or not, he's a very good storyteller. He's very
Indeed.
interesting. And I hope all the really bad stuff isn't true and the funny stuff is.
Yeah, maybe we'll just choose to believe the best of and in Bill. But I mean, you got to hand it to him. He passed the time in prison with these creative stories, and this is going up into my like top 5 episodes.
Really?
Of yours.
It was so long and all over.
It's long, but I loved it. It's just so bizarre and unexpected. I loved it.
Oh, good. And big thank you to, of course, Elizabeth for helping me with research, but at Julian Hagens on TikTok. I'll make sure to have him in the show notes. You should follow him. He's so good.
I will.
And He does have like other shows that he's followed, but for whatever reason, and people have been, he and Bill just did like a podcast together recently.
Of course they did. That's amazing.
I
Good
love
job.
it.
That was really fun.
Good. Well, Rebekah, please, by all means, let me stop talking. I would love to know what you've been watching this week.
It's been so hard not to tell you this.
I know.
And I have a weird feeling that we have the same.
Okay, I'm going to let you go first because I don't think you have mine. But
okay, then maybe I just feel like this seems like something Melissa would watch or would have talked to me about. Netflix, TikTok, Cult.
I did watch it. The Dancing for the Devil 7M or whatever. Yeah. Okay, so what'd you think?
I thought it was great.
Yeah.
Did you?
Okay, here's the thing. I watched it at CrimeCon and I didn't watch the last half of the third episode, and I'm realizing that now. So I was kind of like, it was fine. But everyone else has said it's great.
You should finish it.
Okay, I will.
It didn't compel you to keep with it, or you just...
I think it was just like I wasn't really following it enough because I was tired. So I feel like I'd have to restart it, and I just wasn't ready to do that yet.
It's definitely not riddled with crime. So it's like, it's very much this family's, impression that something is not right. But in episode 2, we learn that there's been tons of crime, and it starts telling someone else's story. Those two sisters, right?
Okay.
So it's the first two sisters, like the dancers on TikTok, but then I can't remember everybody's name. I think they were Miranda and Melanie, maybe. And then the second episode is Priscilla and I forgot the other girl's name. And they joined the cult prior to like social media.
Got it.
And so all the footage of the church is kind of from that era. I thought it was really well done, actually. And I just found, because all the people who were involved in this alleged cult were performers, they were just very good talking head interviews. Like, I found them to be really compelling to watch. And ultimately, I just really liked how they produced it. And it was kind of this like dance metaphor. And I don't want to totally spoil the ending, but it's like kind of a real full circle in terms of dancing.
Okay.
And I just thought it was beautifully done and sad and a very accurate depiction of kind of the like grayness of a cult when you're not sure it's a cult and people are there under their own free will, but how free are they? And I don't know.
Right.
I felt like it was it's not super sensational the way NXIVM was, but I found it probably really helpful for people who have family members in organizations like this. I don't know. I really liked it.
Oh, I'm glad. Okay. Well, I need to rewatch it because I knew there was, I know a little of what you're saying, but I truly did not see very much. But I knew that was one everybody was watching and I wanted to watch. It was just
I'm curious if people have watched it. So please do post or comment or message us if you have, because without the secondary story, I don't think they would have had a series. If it was just the two TikTok sisters, I don't think that was enough. But because those other two sisters had previously been there and escaped, it just added this very needed like second dimension and depth to the story of how serious it was. So I thought it was really good.
Oh, cool. Well, I will definitely check that out or rewatch it or watch it.
Finish it.
Let's say watch it. Yeah. Okay. My 3 clues. I don't expect you to have seen this. And just give it to me. Basketball, Ed O'Neill, FX.
I don't know.
Okay. Clipped. Have you heard of that?
No.
Okay. So Clipped is an American sports drama miniseries based on the 30 for 30 podcast, The Sterling Affairs. So
what is all this?
Yeah. Okay. So it doesn't sound like something I would be interested in, right?
No. Sports?
Yeah. Okay. So it focuses on the downfall of the Los Angeles Clippers owner Donald Sterling amid this time they're trying to get a championship under Coach Doc Rivers. Well, Doc Rivers was a coach here in Orlando for the Magic. And so a lot of the players that go on to the Clippers, when my husband and I were into Orlando Magic for like 2 years, we knew them. So I knew them going into this. But you may not remember, but I guarantee you remember this clip I'm about to send you in the chat.
Oh.
You'll remember this woman from it. And so this is the whole story about the downfall of this organization when they should have had like their best season. They're going to championships and you'll see. Tell me if you recognize her.
Can you tell me what your relationship with Donald Sterling is?
I'm Mr. Sterling's right-hand arm man. I'm Mr. Sterling everything. I'm his confidant, his best friend, his silly rabbit.
His what?
His silly rabbit.
His silly rabbit?
Yes.
Is that what he calls you?
No.
What? What did I just watch?
Okay, so I should have led with that. So this is V. Staviano, I think. The owner of the Clippers is this like 80-year-old man. Well, this lady is his assistant. And they're having an affair, but not really. Like, apparently it's not sexual so far, at least in the thing. But she records all of their conversations over this time. This is all real. She records it. He knows she's being recorded, but there's this, he's buying her stuff, but now his wife is like, don't throw this in my face. Like, I know you're doing this, but don't rub it in my face, and sues this lady V. So V decides to start releasing recordings. And so she sends them to TMZ. And the first one that's going to get this owner in all this trouble is her having a picture with Magic Johnson and him saying, I don't want you having pictures with black men. Like, and obviously, terrible thing to say. He has this basketball team with all different people. She's not white. And so it's like all about the background. It's like her life with, you know, him, and then all of this unraveling, all while this like team is coming up and everybody thinks they're going to win this championship. But this man and his like stupid recordings and terrible things he says and the terribleness of this man is coming to light, and it all crashes down. So it's very interesting to me.
Okay, it does sound very interesting.
But that clip, you don't remember her?
No.
I'm his silly rabbit. I'm his right hand
I
arm
missed.
man.
And then he said, when she said, is that what he calls you? No. Like, it was just so bizarre. Like, what is she talking about?
His silly rabbit. That is a wild thing for an adult.
It's very strange.
Yeah. So if you know of that story, or if that at all sounded interesting, you'll have to check it out.
It did actually.
Yeah, it's actually really good. It's like one of those miniseries, and it's based off those like 30 for 30 sports things that are big in sports. The Last Dance. What was Michael Jordan's thing? He had like The Last Dance. It was like a really
that is on my short list of things to. I've heard that is like one of the best documentaries.
So it's the same company, the same idea. And
did you watch that?
I didn't. And then they made this based off of that, so like reenacted and everything.
Okay. I'm going to watch that Michael Jordan one. That I really need to do that.
I couldn't get you on mine, but I got you on one.
Well, it's like reminding me that I need to watch that one first, at least, because I've been saying that for like 2 years. That's interesting. This was...
Yeah. It's like a weird time in pop culture that I remembered.
Yeah, I do not.
Okay. Well, that's... Okay. You're saving room in your brain for better things. Go ahead, silly rabbit. What are your
debatable? Okay, well, some other pop culture stuff I can tell you about in the next episode.
Ooh, can't wait.
Do you want clues?
Yes, please.
Okay. West Virginia, cookbook, CHOW.
CHOW. I want to go Reese Witherspoon, but that's not... I don't even think she's only one of those. And not a reality star. Okay. I'll figure it out.
I'm sure you will. I have all the faith in the world. What a fun story. Thanks everyone for listening. You can find us on Instagram mostly at Criminality Show, and we have a website, criminalityshow.com.
Perfect. See you guys in 2 weeks.
Bye.